Something about this story feels off. A man is gone, his family is grieving, and yet the way things unfolded has left people asking more questions than getting answers. Was this simply a tragedy, or is there something bigger happening behind the scenes? Today we're going to walk through the strange details, the public reactions, and the rumors that have taken over the internet. By the end, you'll see why so many people believe this story is far from over. When someone loses a loved one, most people expect to see sadness, silence, and time away from the spotlight. But in this case, Erika's actions surprised many. Instead of stepping back, she stepped forward. She gave speeches, appeared at events, and even took on her husband's role in the organization almost immediately. Some people praised her strength. They said she was honoring his legacy by keeping his work alive. But others felt uneasy. They said her tone was too polished, her words too controlled, and her behavior too professional for someone who had just lost a partner. The internet began to ask, was this grief or was this strategy? And once that question was asked, it spread like wildfire. Not long after, Erika was named the new leader of the organization. This move shocked many supporters. Usually, leadership changes take time, with long discussions and careful planning. But here, the decision seemed fast, almost automatic. Critics wondered, was this planned before Charlie's death? Did donors or board members push for her to take over? Or was it simply a way to keep the organization stable during a crisis? Whatever the reason, the speed of the transition raised eyebrows. And once people start asking why so fast, they rarely stop. The quick change also shifted the focus. Instead of people talking about Charlie's life and legacy, the conversation turned to Erika's new role. That shift made some people uncomfortable because it felt like the story of his passing was being overshadowed by a new chapter that started too soon. From the very beginning, the official story didn't sit right with many people. The timeline of events kept changing. First, one version was given to the public. Then, a few days later, another version appeared with small but important differences. These changes made people wonder, if the authorities really had control of the situation, why couldn't they keep the story straight? One of the biggest issues was the lack of clear evidence. People expected to see security footage, photos, or at least some kind of verified proof that matched the claims being made. But instead, what they got were vague statements and a single blurry image that didn't convince anyone. Family members of the accused even said the photo didn't look like him. That only added to the confusion. Another problem was the way information was released. Instead of a steady, careful flow of facts, details seemed to leak out in random bursts. One day, a new claim would appear in the news. The next day, officials would walk it back or say it had been misunderstood. This back and forth made the public feel like they were being misled, whether on purpose or by accident. And then there was the question of motive. The official story suggested a simple explanation, but it didn't match what people knew about the people involved. Friends and family of the accused said he had never shown signs of instability. They said he had no reason to do what he was being accused of. When the official motive doesn't match the person's history, people naturally start to doubt. All of these issues, the shifting timeline, the missing evidence, the confusing leaks, and the weak motive, created a sense of mistrust. Instead of calming the public, the official story made them more suspicious. And once trust is broken, it's very hard to rebuild. That's why social media exploded with theories. People felt like they weren't getting the full truth, so they started digging for themselves. They compared statements, checked dates, and shared screenshots. Every small inconsistency became a big deal. And the more people looked, the more they found things that didn't add up. In the end, the official story was supposed to bring clarity. Instead, it created chaos. And that chaos opened the door for voices like Joe's to step in and say, "Something here doesn't make sense." Joe's voice changed the whole conversation. Before he spoke, people were already uneasy. But his comments gave those doubts a spotlight. Joe said the case was being handled in a sloppy way. He pointed out that too much information had been released too early, which only created confusion. Normally, in sensitive cases, details are kept quiet until the facts are clear. But here, leaks and half-statements were everywhere, and that made people suspicious. He also suggested that investigators might already know more than they were saying. According to him, it looked like someone was trying to control the story. Maybe it was to protect certain people. Maybe it was to keep the public calm. But either way, he believed the truth was not being told in full. Joe also raised questions about Erika. He asked why she stepped into the spotlight so quickly. He wondered if her family's background and connections gave her an advantage, and he asked the question that many people were afraid to say out loud. Why were Charlie's parents so quiet? Why weren't they speaking up? Were they being silenced, or were they choosing to stay away? These questions hit hard because they echoed what many people were already thinking. Joe didn't claim to have all the answers, but he gave people permission to doubt. And once he did, millions of listeners started looking at the story in a new way. His words spread across social media, and suddenly, the official version of events was no longer trusted by a large part of the public. One of the most painful parts of this story is the role of Charlie's family. His parents, who many expected to see front and center, were almost invisible. They didn't speak at the memorial. They weren't on stage when honors were given. They weren't in the spotlight at all. This silence raised tough questions. Were they choosing privacy? Were they being sidelined? Or were they being kept away from the public eye on purpose? Nobody knows for sure. But when family members are missing from key moments, people notice. And in this case, their absence became one of the biggest mysteries of all. Some supporters said the parents were simply grieving in private, which is natural. Others said their silence was unusual, especially given how public Charlie's life had been. The lack of clarity only fueled more speculation. In today's world, one short clip can change everything. That's exactly what happened here. Erika's public appearances became the center of attention, not just for what she said, but for how she acted. Every gesture, every expression, every pause was studied by viewers online. There were also whispers about major business deals happening at the same time. Deals that could benefit from a strong public face leading the organization. If that's true, then the leadership change wasn't just about honoring Charlie's legacy. It was about protecting investments and keeping powerful people happy. This raised a bigger question. Was Erika chosen because she was the best person to carry on Charlie's mission, or because she fit the plan of those with money and influence? That's the kind of question that doesn't go away easily. Once people start wondering if money is driving the story, every decision looks suspicious. And that's why this part of the story matters so much. Because when grief, leadership, and money all collide, people naturally ask, who is really in control? Is it the family, the board, the donors, or someone else entirely? As all of this unfolded, the internet did what it always does. It investigated. Independent creators, bloggers, and everyday people started digging. They pulled old clips, compared timelines, and shared screenshots. Some found real inconsistencies. Others connected dots that may not belong together. Rumors spread about overseas ties, secret connections, and hidden motives. Some of these claims were wild, others more believable. But together, they created a storm of speculation that made it almost impossible to know what was real and what was rumor. And once a story reaches that point, it takes on a life of its own. Every new post added another layer. Every new theory pulled in more people. And soon, the story was no longer just about Charlie's death. It was about power, influence, and control. So what does all of this mean? At its core, this story is about more than one family or one organization. It's about how grief, power, and public image collide in today's world. The hug on stage became the biggest talking point. At first glance, it looked like a simple moment of comfort between two people. But the internet doesn't stop at first glances. People replayed the clip again and again. Some said it looked too personal, too familiar. Others said it was nothing more than respect. Body language experts even joined the debate, pointing out the way she leaned in, the way he held on, and the expressions on their faces. What should have been a private moment turned into a public storm. Then came her return to Charlie's podcast. Less than 2 weeks after his passing, Erika was back in front of the microphone. For some, this was inspiring. They said she was keeping his voice alive and continuing his mission, but for others, it felt too soon. They said it looked like she was trying to control the story, to make sure she was the one shaping the narrative. Comment sections filled with debates. Was this strength, or was it strategy? Even her speeches were dissected. People said her tone was too polished, too professional. Instead of sounding like a grieving widow, she sounded like a leader making a statement. Some praised her for being composed. Others said it felt cold. The truth is, no matter what she did, people were watching closely, and every move became part of the bigger mystery. Behind every public story, there are private interests, and in this case, money and power were never far away. The organization Charlie built was not small. It had big donors, wealthy sponsors, and powerful allies. When someone like that passes away, the question isn't just about grief. It's about what happens to the influence and the money tied to their name. Some people online claimed that donors pushed for Erika to take over quickly. They said sponsors wanted stability, and Erika was the easiest choice. Others suggested that the direction of the organization had already been shifting before Charlie's death, and his passing simply sped up the process. Either way, the timing made people suspicious. It's about how quickly the internet can turn a tragedy into a mystery, and it's about how silence, speed, and strategy can make people question everything. Joe's concerns, the family's absence, Erika's behavior, the role of money, each piece adds to the puzzle. And the truth is, we may not have all the answers yet, but the questions aren't going away. This story shows how fragile trust can be. When people feel like they're not being told the full truth, they start looking for answers themselves. And once that happens, it's hard to put the pieces back together. This story is still unfolding. Every week, new clips, new posts, and new theories appear online. Some may be true, others may not. But one thing is certain, people are paying attention. So what do you think? Was this simply a tragedy followed by a strong widow stepping up? Or is there more happening behind the curtain? Something we're not being told? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's see what you think about Erika's role, Joe's concerns, and the silence of Charlie's family. And if you want more deep dives into stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because this story isn't finished, and neither is the search for the truth.